What's up, guys? Mr. Scanlon here with another episode of Python programming tutorials. This time we're going to be looking at chapter 5 and we're going to be talking about loops. So, loops are a very important concept in computer science. I don't want to get into all the stuff that I talked about in the text. It's totally worth it to read all that stuff. A lot of cool stuff that's covered. I'm just going to jump right into the code here and go through some of the examples of while loops and stuff like that. And then maybe a little bit more than just what we have there. We'll see what I can do. First thing you want to do is just have like x equals 0. You want to initialize a variable and then just have it at 0 for now. And we're just going to say while x is less than 5 colon, and then tabbed over we're just going to have print x here, and then at the bottom this part is very important. Make sure you have this in your code. X is equal to x plus 1, just like that. Alright, so when we run this here, you're going to see we got 0 to 4 printed out here. So let's talk about it. So we initialized x as 0, and then we said while, and this reads just like English. I mean, it's great with Python. While x is less than 5, do this. So basically, it's looping. Okay. So what is looping exactly? Basically, remember how we had the if statements where we had a condition like if this is true, then do this stuff. It works just like that. It works just like an if statement. So it says, if stuff is true, go ahead and run this. Okay, we ran it. Except there's a catch. Once we get to the bottom here, go back up to the top and see if this is still true or see if it's true or false. And if it is still true, run it again. And just keep doing that until this is no longer true, this condition right here. Alright, so what about the code inside of here? Obviously, we get it. Like, if x is less than 5, which it is right now, it's 0, then just keep running the code. Okay, so we printed it out. So we printed out 0, and then it went to this thing here, which you haven't seen before. This is the kind of like the longhand way of writing it, usually in programming languages that I'm familiar with. C++, you'd probably do it differently, but basically this is an increment, okay? In math, this makes no sense whatsoever. This can't be real, okay? Because x cannot equal x plus something else. But in computer science and programming, this makes sense because we're trying to do an increment process here. So basically, what you're saying is take whatever x was, set x equal to whatever x was before plus 1. So x was 0 before, add 1 to that. 1 plus 0 is 1. Alright, make that the new x. That's all it's saying. So then it jumps up to the top here. 1 is less than 5. Yeah, that's true. Alright, run it again. Okay, it prints out the 1 because now x is 1. Alright, down here, now x is 2 on this line of code. Okay, go to the top. Alright, 2 is less than 5. Okay, let's run it. Alright, and so on until we get to, finally it increments up to 5 here after it prints out that 4. So it prints out the 4 here, and then it goes to 5 here, and then it gets up to here and it says, is 5 less than 5? No, 5 is equal to 5. So we just stop running the loop, and that's the end of it. So that's how while loops work, basically. You know, you can do this a lot of different ways. You don't have to just use numbers. You can use what's known as a Boolean, which we have not talked about yet. Booleans are basically variables that hold true and false. So most variables that we're familiar with hold either words, letters, symbols, numbers, whatever it is. Booleans only hold literally true or false. Let me show you what I mean. So if I set let me just call it word or something like that. It's obviously not a word, but we're just going to say word is the variable. And I'm just going to say, oops, I didn't mean that. True, just like this. So word is true, okay? And then I can say while word is equal to true, then, print hi there. Okay, I'm not going to run this code, and neither should you, because this will run forever. You'll have to stop it. Actually, here, let me show you what happens. So if I run this, see what happens? It just keeps going, and it even says too much output to process. So I'm going to stop right there. The reason why it just kept doing that is because there's nothing inside of this while loop here that will ever set this word variable to false. So this will always be true, so it'll just keep printing out. That's a broken while loop right there, and that's not something you really want to deal with that much. That's why computers crash right there a lot of the times. Um, so let's see here. I could set in here, I could say, word is false now. And then if I run it this time, it's just going to run it one time, and we'll be all good. It just stops immediately once it gets back up to the top. Another thing I want to mention, I could get rid of this equals true here because I'm dealing with booleans, and I'm just trying to figure out whether something is true or false. I don't have to write out everything. See, if I ran it again, and there was no error, it worked fine. I don't have to write out the equals true because with booleans, the default condition that and this works with if statements too. The default condition is just to test whether or not this variable is true. I mean that's all it is basically. I don't have to have that in there if I don't want to. So basically, what was I gonna cover here? Sorry about that, guys. It's a little late for me. All right, so that's pretty much. I remember what I was going to cover. So this true and false here. You'll notice that they're capitalized. Nothing else that we've really had so far has had anything that needed to be capitalized necessarily. True and false must be capitalized. This is actually a new thing for me too. I actually didn't really understand why it needed to be like this when I first got into Python. The programming languages that I'm familiar with, you just always had to just write true or false. Didn't matter if it was capitalized. They have to be in Python, so just make sure that you have these capitalized. Otherwise, you're going to get some sort of a weird error. I think if you said it, yeah. I mean, it's not even gonna. It doesn't even. Basically, what it's doing is it's treating this true here as like a variable, and there's no variable that's defined as true. So it's just going to give you some weird error. All right, so that's it for this video. I'm going to talk about the rest of the loops in the next video, just to split it up. So see you then.